Hi all, welcome back to Whoops with C++ session 49. In previous sessions we have discussed about the friend concepts. So like how to make a global function friend to one class and how to make a member function friend to another class. And the third scenario is like how to make an entire class friend to another class. So when we talk about a global function, we are trying to access private members of one class, and with that what we are doing is we are giving the friend declaration of that global function in the class. In the second scenario, what we are doing is we are making member function of one class friend to another class. If in any member function, if you are trying to access private members of some other class, you have to give friend declaration of this member function into another class. Okay, now this is what we have discussed in previous sessions. If you have not watched those videos, please watch it, and after that you watch this friend class concepts for better understanding. So now what is this friend class concept? Okay, so now this is the third scenario. Assume we want to access non-public members of class 1. Non-public members means private or protected. Till now we have not discussed about protected. So anyway, till inheritance, private and protected are behaves in the same way. Okay, so now assume we want to access a non-public members of class 1 in all the member functions of class 2. Then what we can do is, in that case what we have to do is, whichever member function is trying to access private members of class 1, all those member functions of class 2, you have to make it a friend declaration. Instead of that, what we can do is we can make that entire class as a friend to class 1. Okay, so what we are doing, assume we want to access non-public members of class 1 in all the member functions of class 2. Then instead of making each function as a friend to class 1, we can make entire class 2 as friend to class 1. So what is the syntax? The syntax is very simple. So just give the class 1 and friend class 2. So here what we are doing is, in class 2 member functions are trying to access class 1 non-public members. In that case, you have to give the class 1 declaration first, then class 2 declaration, and you have to give the prototype declaration of the class 2 in the with friend keyword in class 1. So like a friend and class 2. So this declaration you have to give. So it is like the class 2, you are telling to the compiler that the class 2 is friend of mine, and if any of its class 2's member functions are trying to access my private members or protected members, allow them without giving any compilation issues. Okay, so this is the thing. So it's a very simple concept. So we are making entire function as friend to another class. Just observe one program for this. Okay, yeah. So let's open this friend class concept. Okay, so here see, this is the previous discussion we have done with member function. Sorry, give me a second. Yeah. Okay, so what we can do is, here we have this is the previous use case, that is we are making friend member function friend to a class. Now if you observe here, this setter and getter two member functions are there, class 2, and this class 2 member functions are trying to access private members of class 1. So what we are doing is we are giving the friend declaration for both the classes. Okay, so now assume here you have only two member functions. Now assume you have many, maybe some 10 member functions or 20 member functions, or all the member functions of class 2 are trying to access the private members of class 1. Then what you have to do, you have to give definition for all whatever functions. Maybe assume you have four, so four functions definitions you have to give, or maybe you have six functions friend declaration you have to give like this. Okay, so instead of this, what you can do is you can make entire class as friend to class 1. So for that, what you have to do, so first you have to give the declaration of class 1. So class 2 is friend to class 1. Okay, for that reason, what you have to do is you have to give the class 1 declaration first. Okay, let's give this class 1 declaration first. Okay, so now we don't want this forward declaration. Okay, so later what you can do is you can give the class 2 definition, and here what you can do is you don't want to give any function definitions, function declarations here, but instead what you have to do is you have to say there is a class called class 2 which is of my friend, and you are telling to the compiler that class 2 is class 2 is my friend and it is going to access my private members, means my private property, non-public property also it can access. So you allow them when it is trying to when it is trying. Okay, so now as usual what you have to do is you have to give the definitions here, right? So let's see whether it will work or not. Yeah, it's compiled successfully. It out. See, it's giving the proper value. So, so what we are doing here? So class 2 member functions are trying to access class 1 private members. Okay, so during that time, class 2 is friend to class 1. So whichever class is friend to your class, that class friend declaration has to be present in your class declaration. So next you have to give the friend class declaration. So after that you can give the definitions for this. Okay, like this. Okay, but you cannot give the class 2 declaration first then class 1. Okay, so first give the class 2 declaration, class 1 declaration first, then class 2, then after that you have to give this one. So what we are doing here, here I am creating object for class 1 obj1, and here I am creating class 2 object obj2. By using object 2 I am setting the values and getting the values, setter and getters. In class 2 I am using setter and getters for class 1 object type. So same thing. So previously we have made these two methods, that is setter and getter, as friend to class 1. In that case we have given class 2 declaration first, then we have given the class 1 declaration. So before class 2 declaration we have used forward declaration, that is friend class concept. Okay, so if you have not understood friend class, for better understanding of a friend class concept, just watch previous videos of friend concepts, then it will be clear. Okay, so this is about friend class concept, a very simple one. Okay, so once again let's compile this. It's working. So we are setting and getting the values. So now assume you don't have the friend class concept here. What will happen? You don't have the friend declaration. I have just commented it. See, we are getting the error. Okay, so int val is declared as a private member, so you cannot access, because in this setter and getter we are accessing the private members of class 1, that is value. Okay, so if you are giving the friend declaration, then no error, it will work properly. Okay, that's about friend class concept. Okay, so first class 1 declaration, then inside that you give the whichever class is friend to your class, you give that friend class definition. After the friend class declaration, so after that you give the friend class complete definition. Okay, like this. Okay, this is the syntax you have to follow. Okay, so next, there are some points we have to remember here. So by making a class as a friend to another class, all the member functions of the friend class will be having direct access to the non-public member of the other class. Okay, so we have to give the definition of the friend class after the friendly class. That means that is class 1 declaration you have to give, and next class 2 declaration you have to give, and there is no forward declaration is required for friend class. The unless like unlike member function of a friend, member function of a class, friend to in another class, we are giving the forward declaration of the friend class, right? So that is not required here. Okay, so this is the syntax you have to follow. First class 1, then class 2, after that give the definitions of the functions. Okay, so this is the about a few points, and here there is one important point I have to touch upon. So what do you mean by abstraction here? So sorry, encapsulation. So encapsulation means you are providing security to your members, private members. So I don't want to give direct access to others. So for that we have made so we have something like a class. In that inside that class we are creating the private members by making data members or members as private. Only the member functions of that class can access the private members of this the one particular class. But what we are doing here by using friend concept, we are breaking the encapsulation rule, that even though the member functions, for example, the setter and getter. Okay, uh, if you see here, the setter and getter, the setter and getter are functions of another class, but they are trying to access private members of your another class, means it is breaking the encapsulation rule. Okay, so still it is a debatable topic whether friend is breaking the encapsulation rule or it is not. Okay, so but um, based on the scenarios we can see, we can directly access the private members of other class. It is a breaking the encapsulation rule. Okay, so as I said, still it is a debatable topic, and also there is a concern like whether to use the friend concept or not. Okay, it's completely based on your project needs. You have to decide whether we need to use friend concept or not. Okay, so but whenever you are trying to use the friend concept, think that you are trying to break the encapsulation rule. Okay, okay, that's for today. Thanks for watching.